Good day, everyone. This is SteveTV.tk and Donald Porter for the series on veterans. This is going to be episode number 6. We have located ourselves in a beautiful room that tells a lot of the history of the contribution of the Canadian Navy. Naval officer here, communicator, Donald Porter was telling us within the last sequence some important information concerning I'm going to call it
documents and
mistreatment of information. So why don't you tell us further about this in this segment?
Well, thank you very much, and let me start out by saying your input as a veteran is very important. What I'm bringing to light is not to attach criticism or to the Canadian Armed Forces or the Department of Veterans Affairs with intent to insult or cause any discomfort or to them, but to, if you do not open up the true elements of things that happen, they cannot be corrected. And I find that there's too many errors and too many things put at the side with no accountability to the veteran. It seems to be that as a veteran you become a number and nothing else. On Remembrance Day they say lest we forget. Well then, lest we forget, Steve, should be every day of the year. When they went to war, they didn't only go to war
Donald,
on November 11th. They went to war all year round.
If I may, there's something that I wanted to point out, and I understand that you're saying, at the current moment we have a national holiday, 1 day per year, and let's remember that we are covering for the next 12 months on a daily basis at Steve TV. We are covering, we are making it a yearly event. So at the current moment until the 1st of December 2017, this series is dedicated to veterans. So whenever people think, why isn't there an organization or people who are making this on a yearly basis? We are making this on a yearly basis. That's why we're doing this series, and that's why you have the chance to be on Steve TV to express yourself as the officer. And I'm even going to say, on our Steve TV team, we will appoint him as our chair of Veterans Affairs when it comes to the detachment, and have a public image with the other departments of the Government of Canada. So whenever we get to talk with them, you will have the privilege to speak with them directly.
Fine.
So, veterans, whenever you're watching this, remember this. This is a weekly basis. It's no longer just a once a year. Continue.
Okay, and I agree with you. And you know what? I'm willing to help you as well, but I have to help me. Mm-hmm. And you know what happened is, helping yourself, it means that you have to take personal accountability to be honest and talk with integrity, and with the idea of making a positive contribution to bringing forth problems that can be corrected, but cannot be corrected if they're not spoken about. True. And they cannot be addressed and corrected if nobody has the guts, the integrity to stand up for the veterans of the past, for the veterans of the present, and for the veterans of the future, to make corrections and to take accountability for where our files, our dossiers, and everything else are handled, and in the proper respect and the classification to which you are obliged in uniform to respect while you're in service. Well, that should be carried on after the service as well.
Yes.
Now,
it is.
And you know what, we talk, let's look at the Canadian Legion, for example. I'm a member of the Canadian Legion as well. and look at other. One fault I find with the Canadian Legion is that anybody could go into the Canadian Legion and associate member. They could be invited to be part of the membership.
Right.
My concern.
Your concern
Is that if you're going to go into the Canadian Legion, which was established for the Canadian veterans,
right,
you should have some knowledge of what the Canadian Forces is. You should have some kind of knowledge of what it is to be a veteran.
This is what I will bring. We are wanting this series to be an educational series. And we invite people that are interested to join the legions.
Absolutely.
To become better knowledgeable about what veterans have done, what veterans represent, and what legions represent. So I will say, why don't we connect with all the legions across Canada and advise them of what we do so that people will become more knowledgeable and they will know what legions are. Continue.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to express. The Legion, like every other entity that revolves history, comes to a vulnerable position where they need membership. One of the biggest questions in the Canadian Legion, and I'm not speaking as their representative, I'm speaking to you as a member of the Legion myself, and my concerns for the Legion and for the future of the Canadian Legion. It is a very highly respected organization, and justifiably so. Okay. But the biggest question is, how do we keep the legions open? How do we invite the new veterans to associate with the veterans of the past that are dying off? And my answer to that is, if we don't reach out to the new veterans, then the whole establishment of the Legion will fall to shrivels, because it will not have and will not maintain its membership over the long period of time.
How do we communicate with those new veterans? Because again, the show is there to communicate with those. So how can we communicate with the new veterans and advise them? We can even bring the show to the legions. We can even bring the show to presentation, so that whenever new veterans, new retired officers can be part of a presentation and learn more about the show and become more knowledgeable about the legions.
My answer to you is very simple and very, very clear. Must be very, very clear, and from the heart and from the soul. To our new veterans, from us, the old veterans, from the veterans that have passed in the past wars, going back as far as you want through history, let it be known, this message. In our dying, we are with you. Whether you walk at peace, whether you walk at war, whether you fly in the sky, or whether you're in the deepest parts of the ocean in submarines or sailing on vessels. We, the older veterans, are with you, the younger veterans, and we ask you to understand the wars that we fought and our forefathers fought for freedom were much different because of the technology, the environments, and the upgrades. But the new veterans, we do respect you, we do honor you, and we do understand, even with newer technologies and different ways of peacekeeping and different ways of offensive movements. You know what? We're all one, walking and working for the same thing, and our spirits are with you in full. And now, on the other hand, let me emphasize
Yes.
that our dignity, our self-respect for the veterans, new and old, and for the future veterans, all depend on how we react to this series with SteveTV.tk, that we can reach out to you all and get your feedback, make you feel part of the series, make you feel that you're wanted and that we're accountable to you, but you're accountable to yourself and to your other colleagues that are in need. And you know what? Another very important part, you keeping your eyes on your colleague, because you are firsthand to see if they're vulnerable to PSTD, if they're vulnerable to suicide, if they're weak, if they witness something that is horrible for them to deal with, and you are their brothers, you are their sisters, you are their first responders, and without you looking out for one another and we having a mutual respect to understand and to put forth what is in our hearts and be heard, then there's nothing to look forward to. And we have to do this. This is your chance, this is my chance to reach out to one another and say, you know what, we need mutual respect. And our veterans, when they're injured, 5 feet inside the base in uniform on orders, they're entitled to their pension. They're entitled to the medical needs, and they're entitled to their privacy of their documents, and to get them on time, and not let every single approach that I brought to the Department of Affairs, Veterans Affairs, I've been rejected on every single case that I've brought, and I have to go to appeal on every single issue. So I think it's time that us veterans take a stand. We take a stand, be counted up, look out for one another and say enough is enough. We have to stand together. It's a different type of war, but it's for our integrity of service. It's for our integrity to the community. It's our integrity to our country, and we deserve the same dignity and respect that we applied to protect our country and its freedom.
And before I wrap up the show, I will add, I am sure that there are new veterans, there are older veterans, there are senior veterans, veterans of all ages, and as well everyone who is part of the Department of National Defense. Do yourself a favor. Whenever you see our videos, share them, like them, share our Facebook page, even click on like and mention, I'm a petty officer, and then mention your position and mention, I am proud, and I do share with prideness this series that is dedicated to us, to all of us,
and to
encourage, support, and continue to do so. Thank you very much for watching. Coming up, episode number 7.